Quilters, I'm Kim Hiller, AccuQuilt's cutting expert.
And I'm Erica Botker, corporate marketing specialist. And we're here today to talk about setting triangles and corner triangles. Now, those are the shapes that are used to finish the edges and corners of a quilt where the blocks are set on point. Now, why would you want to set blocks on point, Pam?
You know, Erica, that is such a great question. And really, truly, it is all about design.
Right.
Now, here is the churn dash block.
Okay.
All by itself, it's beautiful. But look at how different it looks when I turn it on point. It makes a completely different looking block.
I love that.
Yep.
It does make a completely different looking block. The whole feel changes.
Right. Now, here's the reason we are so excited
Yes.
to share this information with you. AccuQuilt now has Go dies to cut these shapes for you. Now, we both love on-point
Yes.
quilts, but couldn't you just use a half square triangle, Erica, and then call it good?
Well, it's all about stability and the straight of grain of the fabric.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
That makes sense.
If you used a regular half square triangle cut the regular way, the long side would be the outside of the quilt. But the long side of a regular half square triangle is cut on the bias.
Ah, that
So
makes sense.
why is that a problem? Well, it's critical for the stability of your quilt to have the outside edge of your quilt tight.
Okay.
Okay? So you don't want it stretchy like the bias. So we have some side triangles here.
Okay.
And the long side you can see is tight.
Yes.
Okay? So that tightness is what is important. Okay? Now, you can cut these without dies.
Okay.
Okay? And to cut a big square, cut it diagonally twice.
Right.
But that involves a four-letter word. Math.
Yes. And that's right. Quilters, these are complicated equations to calculate the hand cutting of the side and corner triangles.
Yes.
And since we don't like dealing with math, we figure you shouldn't have to either. That's why AccuQuilt has introduced dies to cut setting and corner triangles
Yes.
to coordinate with our entire mix and match cube system.
That's right. So that means we have dies to match the 6 different finished block sizes of our cubes. 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 12 inches. They'll also match up with our bob or block on board dies for even more design possibilities.
And I'm super excited about that because
Yes.
you and I, we both love bob dies.
We
and
do.
To turn them on point is just great. All right, quilters, so we're going to cut some of our setting triangles to show you exactly what we mean.
Okay.
Now, just like all of our piecing dies, setting and corner triangles have a 1/4 inch seam allowance.
Right.
And they've included specialized dog ears for perfect placement.
So quilters, you'll see that some of these dies are on 6 by 24 die boards, but the larger sizes are on 10 by 24 die boards. So remember, the 6-inch die boards will fit through any cutter, including the Go Me, while the 10-inch wide ones will work with the Go and the Go Big. Of course, all 6 will work with the studio cutter with the appropriate adapter.
Now, here's that great churn dash block on
Right.
point. Finishes to 9 inches.
Right.
So we're going to use the 9-inch setting triangles.
Perfect.
You want to make sure that that lengthwise grain runs parallel to this lengthwise blade.
Right, because
right.
again, that lengthwise grain is the tight one, and it's going to end up on the outside of your quilt.
All right, so we're going to just run these through our Go Big.
Yeah, we're working backwards. We're crowded today.
We
We
are.
got a
We
lot
have-
to show you.
We do.
All right, so we're going to get these cut, and then we'll lay it out with our churn dash.
Excellent. And then we're going to show you how it works perfectly. I love the fact that AccuQuilt did all the math because
I
truly
know.
I just would cut them randomly.
Right, and
Right.
then cut them down.
Yes.
Which is how a lot of patterns will have you cut it too, and
Right.
that just wastes fabric and it makes me sad.
Okay, so I'm going to take this cutting mat off. Ooh, look at all the static here
There
in the
we go.
Dream Studio. Okay, so quilters, you're going to notice on this die, so here are the corners,
Right.
right? And then here's the side setting triangles.
Perfect.
Perfect.
So you're wanting to set your side pieces on first, and then your corner pieces.
And how come, Erica?
They're going to match up perfectly that way.
Right.
So you got to trust us on that, because then we're going to set this one. This one is going to be, well, we can move it over a little bit more.
There we go.
it starts to get big, you know, when you start to put your quilt together, it gets big.
It does. Okay, so those are the side setting triangles.
You're gonna want those on. Then when you put the corner on, it's gonna line up perfectly. So that seam allowance is there so that everything in those dog ears are gonna line up just perfectly for you.
Oh, I love this. And quilters, I'm going to tell you that Eric and I, we lay our blocks out like this.
Yes.
So when you go to sew those rows together, you're sewing them correctly.
Right. And if you've got a diagram that you're working with on your pattern, and again, look how tight that is on the outside edge.
Yeah.
That's exactly how you want it.
Excellent.
We want to put this into use for you by showing you how to make our wonderful stars in the crown quilt.
This is so cool.
I love this pattern.
This is a great pattern.
Yes, so we've got a couple different samples of the same pattern on set with us here. This one was made with a 4-inch cube.
Look how cute it is.
So adorable.
So cute.
This one was made with our 8-inch.
Okay.
And we've got the 12-inch hanging behind us.
Yes.
Now with the 12-inch, you can really see that secondary pattern start to emerge.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So we're going to use the 8-inch cube and then the corresponding setting triangle dies to put this together.
All right, quilters, this pattern is a free downloadable pattern at AccuQuilt.com. It has full cutting and sewing instructions for you. So let's take a look at the dies we're going to need from our cube. Now remember, quilters, every cube has the same 8 shapes. They're just in different sizes.
Right. So no matter what size cube you're using, you always want to remember shape 1 is a square.
Right.
So let's take a look at that.
Okay.
Pull out the skinny one first.
Yes.
Okay, pull out our first folder. So shape 1 is going to be our square.
Excellent.
Now 4 of shape 1 put together is going to be that size cube finished block.
Okay, so in this case it would be an 8-inch finished block.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. So for this quilt, what are we going to need, Pam?
We're going to need shape 2, which are smaller squares for the corner.
Okay, there they are.
We're going to need shape 4 for flying geese.
Oh, okay. So
and
that's
then-
the quarter square
Yes.
triangle, and that's over here.
Yep, we're going to pull that one
We've
out.
got those, and we've got some cut for us.
Excellent. And then in this next section, and I'll trade you,
Sounds good.
all right? Open that up. We're going to need shapes 5, which I call the workhorse.
Yes.
Right? It's those small half square triangles.
Absolutely.
You need 2 shapes to make flying geese, shape 4 and 5.
Right.
Okay. And then shape number 6, one of my all-time favorite shapes, square on point.
Yes.
It's for that block square in a square, which is the center of our square.
Right. And while it is a square, the math is such that those number 5 triangles are going to fit on the sides to make it into the equivalent of
A square and square, and shape number 1.
and shape number 1. All right, so we've got some shapes already cut out, but we need to cut some more shape 5s.
We do.
Because
So
we
I
need
kept
to
it out
use.
here.
Okay, perfect. We'll get this out of the way here.
I'll give you that.
I'll get this out of the way. We're
And
having so much fun today.
We are. In our small one, which you always pull first so it's easier to take the other pieces out, that's where your cutting mat is.
Perfect.
And your pattern book and directions.
So now we're ready to go. So we've already cut shape number 5 and shape number 4 for our flying geese units.
Correct.
We've got our square on point, that was
Yes.
shape number 6. We've got our corner squares, which is shape number 2.
Right.
Now we need some more number 5s, because it's our workhorse,
Right.
to go around that square on point. And these are non-directional, so we can fan fold here. We've got our fabric. We'll just lay that out.
Now,
Fan
there are
fold it
multiple
over.
shapes on this die, so keep that in mind, quilters. Sometimes in our cube system, there are multiple shapes on a die. Now, we only need 4 of these, so Erica only used 2 layers of fabric. You can always cut 6 layers of quilting cotton in one pass through our cutters.
Absolutely, and we're going to put the mat on, because without it, nothing's going to happen.
Nothing. All right, we're going to run it through our Go Big. All right, give it a little love, get rid of that static. And now look at this, quilters. We have perfect half square triangles. So Erica, do you want to put them over here on our
Yes.
stack?
So let's go ahead, let's grab that square on point. Now, when we sew these together, we want to go ahead and sew shape number 5 to either side. Then we'll press that out. then we'll go ahead and add them to the other side.
Right.
So I'm going to start stitching on this, and you wanted to talk about your favorite flying geese unit.
I do. I want to talk about flying geese. So this is also really a great pattern that you could chain piece, because you could just do all of your square and squares and just chain piece for days, okay? So let's talk about flying geese. The center is going to be that quarter square triangle, which is shape number 4, and the sides are workhorse shape number 5.
Shape number 5.
So I'm going to give you a little pro tip on how to sew these together. All right, so when you start, you want to just take one of your shape number 5, and look, we've cut off the dog ears, okay? So from this, it's going to line up perfectly here in this corner, and so you're going to sew from here to here. That is a perfect 1/4 inch seam. Then you're going to press it away and do the other side.
Perfect.
And then when it's done, it's going to have that little 1/4 inch seam allowance so that all of your pieces will line up together.
Perfectly. And we need to press this so I can put the other 2 sides on.
Let's do that. We'll move our little pieces off our pressing mat.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm going to give those a press.
So we're using our clover iron and our wool pressing mat that are available at AccuQuilt.com.
They work so well.
I love it when I'm doing projects like this because I can just sit here and sew, and I don't have to use my big arm.
Why would we want to get up and move, right?
Right.
It fits right on my sewing table.
There you go.
Okay. So then we just put the others together, and this is where those, you see how well that lines up with the dog ears?
Right. I love it. And again, quilters, when I'm doing this block, I'm going to press my seams to the outside.
Right.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to get the other side on, and then we are going to be able to start building our first block here.
I'm excited, and then we'll show them how the rows go together.
Yes.
Look at how fun this is.
It's great. I love this fabric too. I think this is a Riley Blake.
It is really pretty. And again, I really like this pattern.
I love being able to see the contrast in sizes. There we
All right,
go.
so there we go. So again, I'm just going to press to the outside, right here, and do the other side. Perfect. Give it a little press there.
So once you
Alrighty.
have your units made, then it's going to be really easy to lay out your block.
Right.
So,
All right, so we have some
got some
rows that we're going to
pieces.
sew together. We're going to show you how they sew together. Okay, so here's that flying geese. So
Right.
shapes 4 and 5. Shapes 2 are the corners.
Right.
Okay, here is our center block that Erica just sewed.
Right.
So this is that square and point, and again,
Flying geese.
And then this one is our outside row, which is again shape number 2, 4 and 5 for the flying geese, and shape number 2.
And again, we're looking at this block point on, but look how different it is when you turn it on point.
I think that's fabulous.
It's wonderful. Okay, now we're going to move on and do the next block.
Excellent.
Now for the next shape, we're actually going to be using the corner triangle from our setting triangles.
What?
I know. So I know you're wondering about using the shape in this manner because it's going to actually put the bias on the outside of the block. So when you look at our quilt, you'll see that all of those blocks are sewn into the middle of the quilt.
Right.
So that's going to stabilize them. So we're taking a little bit of creative license to be able to use them in this way, but look at the amazing secondary design that we get. So let's cut them out and show everybody what we're talking about.
Excellent. All right, Erica, so let's talk about how we're going to cut those quarter square triangles.
Yes.
So our block finishes to what size?
8 inches.
So we need the 8-inch setting triangles.
Yes.
Okay. So here are those side setting triangles.
Right.
And here's that corner. So we're going to cut 4 of these, right? 2 in white and 2 in pink.
We need 2 in white, 2 in pink for this block. And then we're going to cut one that is in the white that's going to be the corner of our finished quilt so that we can show you how to lay that out.
Okay, so I have my pink and my white here, and I'm going to tell you that we've cut on the lengthwise grain again. Now I need 2 of each, so I'm just going to fold this in half, and it's going to fit right here. Make sure we're covering our shape. Okay, so lengthwise grain.
Perfect.
Okay, and then I have a larger piece of our white that's going to cut all of those shapes. So again, we're going to use a 10 by 24 cutting mat and run it through our Go Big.
Perfect. So
I love this idea of using those corners.
Yes,
to
I
create.
love this secondary design. I just
Yes.
love this pattern. I think I'm going to have a 4-inch for a wall hanging. I think I may need a 12-inch for a quilt.
I know. In my head, I'm thinking of all sorts of things.
You know, you could use Go Quilt and do all different color combinations.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to give it some love and slide this mat and pull back
There we
our
go.
pieces.
There we go.
Excellent.
Okay, so here we've got, these are those side triangles. We're going to be using these to build our quilt. See, we've got our tight edge right there. And now we're going to use these as quarter square units, right?
Okay, yes.
Okay.
So we're going to sew 4 of those together.
Right. And this is the block we're going to get. Now, quarter square layouts can be a little tricky.
They can.
They can be. So we want to make sure, you may want to lay this out and make sure that you've got it correctly and that you're sewing your sides together correctly.
Correct.
Okay.
So quilters, what you want to do, you should want to sew that short side together. We've cut off that dog ear, so that's a perfect quarter-inch
right.
seam. Then I'm going to press to the dark side so our pieces nest together.
That's right. So I'm going to sew one together here. We'll take a look, and then I've got some ready to put together.
Great. And Erica, do you just want to chain piece these?
Sure.
While we're chain piecing.
Now we're chain piecing.
There you go.
Perfect. So I've chain pieced those. I've got some that are already pressed over here.
Excellent.
And they're ready to go so that we can match that point up perfectly. Now,
Okay.
we press these seams open, but you could also press these to the dark side, and that way you could nest those seams together.
Right, that's typically what I do.
Yes. Okay.
All right, here we go.
So we've sewn it together right there. We've got our perfect point there in the
Love it.
middle, just like the sample. I love it when it works, right?
Yes, I
right?
love it when the sample works. There we go. So I'm just going to press this down for a second. All right, and then Erica, do you want to talk about how we assembled this quilt?
Okay, so let's talk about putting this together on point. So
Okay.
you're still putting rows together, but you're putting together diagonal rows.
Right.
So if we're starting in the corner, you're going to sew a setting triangle on either side of that block. So we're going to sew one on here, and then we're going to sew this one on here. So let me go ahead and sew those two on.
Okay.
Then after those are pressed, then we're going to be able to sew that corner one on.
Right.
Okay?
Right. And again, quilters, I'm going to remind you, you want to lay out all of your pieces. I mean, that way it's just going to work together perfectly.
Right. And it's easy to get confused. You want to keep your pattern handy actually when you're doing this, because we're used to going with straight rows, right?
Right. And now you got to turn it at a diagonal.
We're turning at a diagonal. So again, we've got here, I'm doing it again.
There you go.
So it's going to be on the end of either row. So now I'm going to go ahead and match this one up and sew this one down.
Okay. Now, to be honest, Erica, I feel like I would still be trying to do the math.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, Pam and I would still be doing the math because we were not math majors in college.
No.
Okay, so we've got both sides on.
Okay.
And I would tell you to go ahead, again, lay it out because you want to keep track. Let's press
Right.
this a little bit.
Okay. I can do that.
And I would press just towards the outside.
Right. And look how perfect these points are, Erica, because we built in that 1/4-inch seam allowance.
I love it.
Okay.
Then, because this is our corner piece,
Right.
that corner piece is going to go right over here. So
Right.
I'm going to line that up perfectly and get that sewn on.
And I love the fact that point squares, you know, squares on point have such a completely different look.
Yes, and it really is going to open up so many design possibilities when you start thinking about it. And I don't know about you, Pam, but I've just kind of always avoided such things because,
Oh, yes.
oh my goodness, who wants to do that, right?
Yes.
Who
I would just
wants
make
to
rows.
deal? Yes.
Horizontal, diagonal.
Horizontal, diagonal, and they're big shapes that you end up having to cut, and they're hard to cut. And
I always wasted fabric when I was doing it.
yes. So now here we go. There's the corner.
Okay, I'm going to press it out.
Corner
We're
of
just
our
going to show you.
quilt.
So look at how great this is, quilters. And then that edge is so nice and tight, right?
Yes.
It's that straight of green.
That's right. So you do the complete press, and then when you sew the next row, you'll again put setting triangles on the end of it.
Yes.
And when you get to the end, then sew those rows together, and it all will fit together perfectly.
Right. And don't forget, the pattern at AccuQuilt.com is a free downloadable pattern, and it will have all the cutting and sewing directions on the pattern.
That's right. Now to finish the top, you'll follow the diagram, get those diagonal rows together, keep adding them, and you'll add a narrow border, give it a good press, then you'll layer it with your batting and your backing, and quilt is desired.
Bind it off with your favorite binding method and be sure to miter those corners. Quilters, we know you're going to love exploring the creative options that open up for you using the Go setting triangles in all 6 sizes: 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch, 9-inch, 10-inch, and 12-inch finished blocks.
That's right, because AccuQuilt wants you to cut time
So you can quilt more.